So there's a couple things you can do though to protect yourself. First thing you should do is find out if your device is compromised. And the easiest way to do that is you want to go into your administration of your device. Now, if it's been years since the last time you looked at it, if your ISP helped you out to begin with, call them up and you say, hey, it's been a long time since I set up my device. I just want to make sure my DNS is still pointing where it's supposed to. They can walk you through that on support call, take them probably 10 minutes at the most, and you can find out if it's fine. What you really want to pay attention to is your primary DNS server and your secondary DNS server. If you're not sure what to put in there and your ISP is not very much help and you're just doubting anything else, you can always use Google's. Their IP addresses, a lot of people use them. It's a safe, simple place to go. So if you don't know what to put there and you're scared, you can use their IP addresses, which is that 8.8.8.8 and 8.8.4.4. I don't have any like stock in Google or anything. It doesn't cost any money. It's free. I just know that theirs is very good. It's been around a long time. But like that, call your ISP, find out if it's been compromised. If it hasn't, if the IP addresses are still fine, life's good. The next thing you want to do is you want to find out if your device has any updates available. And this is where most people make their mistake. Just like computers, hardware has updates as well. They're known as firmware. And what it is you have your little device, whatever that device happens to be. If there's a vulnerability on it, you need to patch it. Now, it's different than patching your computer. On your computer, you just go in and say, yes, update, update, update. It's no big deal. With your devices, each one of them is a little bit different. So what you have to do is you have to find out who the manufacturer is. You can pick up the device and look. It'll generally say like D-Link or Linksys or whatever right on the device. Then go to their website. And on their website, there's a spot that'll generally say like security updates or something along those lines, or support and then updates. Click over to there and look and see. It'll say enter in your model number. You'll type in the model number. It'll be written right on your device, and it will tell you if there's any updates. And they'll have messages like this on their website that say, hey, there was a security update. Obviously, you don't have to read this. It's kind of small, but the point is this was a D-Link update that they had. Whatever the update is, not only do they tell you what it is, but there's always a how-to in every one of these things that walks you through step by step how to install the firmware. The most it'll ever take you from beginning to end is 15 minutes, and that's generally a lot of time. Because in most cases, all you have to do is connect to the router, and there's generally an option that's like update firmware. And you go find that option, it's under like advanced settings or something. You click on it, and it does its own thing, takes a couple minutes, it resets, and you're done. Go ahead. You would put the IP address of that router, exactly. And that's something that will almost always, unless you bought your own and set it up yourself, it'll be something that your ISP will have provided to you. If you set it up yourself, it'll be in the original paperwork that you have for when you set it up. Now you can change your IP address to whatever you want. Most people just leave it as the default, whatever it was to begin with, and that's pretty normal. We get through that first part. So now I kind of cut to the chase, but when you go to the websites, any website, and so in this case we went to Bank of America, and we put our information in, and it all seemed very real. People are forgetting to watch the top. They've stopped watching the HTTPS. Basically what they do is they look and they type in whatever they're going to, and they assume, well, if I typed it in, clearly where I'm supposed to be. If I type in sdccu.com, I will be at sdccu.com. Don't assume that. When you get there, look for that little HTTPS. If you see that, and you see the little green bar, and every browser is different, but that HTTPS will always be there. That means the page you're at is a secured page. And what that means is there's a certificate that is proving that the page you're at really belongs here, and this is real. This is the page you're supposed to be at, and you can trust it. Now, in a minute, I'm going to show you how that all gets blown out of the water, but for now, this feels really good, and it's something you want to pay attention to no matter what. If you don't see that, for example, in the test that I did for you guys, there was no HTTPS, and the reason there wasn't was because I sent you to my site. And my site, I couldn't do HTTPS because I can't get the certificate for Bank of America. So I just figured, I don't need security, I'm stealing your stuff anyway. So when I gave the web page up, I just put it up the normal page. So it looked like it was secure, and nobody pays attention for that HTTPS. Whenever you browse any website, if you're going to put in confidential information, login, password, all your stuff, buying stuff, always look for the HTTPS. If you see this HTTPS, you can feel a heck of a lot more secure, not 100%, but a heck of a lot more secure that you are where you're supposed to be. All sites have this, Bank of America has it, but criminals will just try to bypass it by not showing it. All right. That's a loaded, it's basically the question is, sometimes you go to a site, it says HTTPS, but it's not green, it's kind of a yellow, or it's got a little exclamation point or something like that. If you understand what the message says and it makes sense to you, feel free to move forward. If you're not sure, when in doubt, don't move forward. Pick up the phone and call the company or don't do it, because generally the one gray area right now is in Google Chrome. Google Chrome right now is sending out a warning in their browser, and the warning is basically saying this website that you're at allows for a lower level of encryption. And if you click on the message, it'll say something to that effect. And what that's warning you is, through the years, encryption is getting stronger and stronger. Weaker encryption causes more problems, and criminals are figuring out how to hack it. Chrome is starting to warn people on sites that have that lower level of encryption. The problem for the sites that do offer it is the fact that sometimes people have old web browsers that still need it. So it's kind of one of these things where people see this and go, oh my gosh, the site's bad. It's not that the site's bad, it means the site's still supporting some older browsers because probably some of their users are still using them. So if you see that message, that's not so bad. On the other hand, if it's red, or if it gives the big warning saying don't continue forward, or you have to click advanced or something. In fact, I'll show you in a minute exactly what the certificates look like that are bad. Those are all signs you shouldn't move forward, and be very, very cautious and very suspicious, especially if you're using Wi-Fi like at an airport or a hotel or something outside of your house. That's when you'll see those things, and you should stop immediately and be very concerned. Somebody raise their hand, yeah. No, I'm not saying that. I personally like Chrome. Chrome they've just decided to give that notice. I don't think that makes them better. I just think that they're just trying to be proactive, and maybe I think it's trying to just get the sites that are out there that are still doing it to kind of give them a nudge to not be doing it. But again, I don't think it's that big of a risk either way, and that's why they're not blocking them or anything. They're just saying, hey, just be aware of this. So as I was saying, basically what ended up happening is we went to the site. It looked like it was real, but it wasn't real. So when we typed in our information, we were really just typing it into my site. It's my site completely. It had nothing to do with them. I just stole their pages, made it look like their pages. It looks real because I just went to their site and copied them all. So everything you typed in, you were actually still sending to this just plain old my site, and that's how it ended up working. And then you go, okay, well, wait a minute. How did it know my security? I'll get to you in just a minute. How did it know my security question? Because remember, it knew the security question that I had for me, which made it kind of real. You go, oh my gosh, it had to have been real. It knew my security question. Well, actually, behind the scenes, what I did was I made it so whenever you sent your login and password to my malicious website said, okay, thanks for your login, thanks for your password. It immediately behind the scenes sent it over to the real website and said, hey, here's my login and password. The real website in return said, oh, well, here's your challenge question. So the real website sends it back to my malicious site. My malicious site says, oh, I now know it's asking what your father's middle name is. I'll pass that on to the victim. So it just was basically a middleman and passed the stuff back and forth through, and therefore it made it look even more real and made the experience feel that much more real. In reality, it was all just kind of a middleman happening behind the scenes, and just like that there. The last part was when it gave this message saying, hey, you failed to log in, what it was really doing at that point was sending you back to the real secure site. Now you see the HTTPS is there. That's how come the second time we logged in, we were actually able to log in, because it handed you off back to the real site. It said, okay, now you're allowed to go to the real site. You don't need to be going to my bogus site anymore. And so now you're able to log the rest of the way in, and the rest was history. So what happened? Users thought they're logging in, blah, 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 blah. Always look for that HTTPS. It's just so important. And again, it's not a guarantee, which I'll show you in a minute. There is ways around it. But if you don't see that, there's a problem every single time. The other thing is, if you see these types of messages, any of these things that pop up that say the connection's untrusted, your connection's not private, there's a problem with the website security certificate, any of these things, they'll allow you to either go back or they'll allow you to say, I understand, and continue forward. Never continue forward. Unless you're at something that you just know for sure because you set it up or something, you're doing testing. Otherwise, this is them saying, stop, there's a problem. This is a major security risk.